Yesterday, after the Nintendo Direct, we all booted up the Engage DLC to play with our cool new emblems. For our trouble, we received a ton of bonus items shown on the screen here. I want to talk about these bonus items and why I think they're really disappointing to see in the game. As I mentioned in my review, I felt the economy of Engage, especially around forging, was really restrictive. The game makes it hard to get enough silver and gold to make your weapons as strong as possible. A lot of people have responded with just use dogs in the comments, but dogs only have a small chance of giving you silver, so you end up having to return to Somniel after every single fight to get enough resources for a forge, which sucks. It's needlessly restrictive and keeps you from being able to have fun and experiment with the forging system. But then the game gives you 20 free silver just for logging in. That's 4 chapters of dogs if you proc silver on every single one perfectly. It's enough to forge 1 silver weapon fully. The game also gives you 30,000 gold, so you don't need to use your own money for your forges. I have some issues with this, damn it, because I feel like the only reason the forge system was so restrictive in the first place was so they could encourage me to bypass it with the DLC. Every cool build I see online is Allier with a +5 killer weapon, or Mage with a +5 Levin sword. I want to be able to try these things out, but the game actively doesn't want me to unless I buy this DLC. And that's ignoring the S-rank weapons in the end game, which cost 50 silver to max out. I'd love to be able to do it, but at that cost, I'd literally have to grind the shallow post game for weeks, so what's even the point? The DLC also gave us access to several skill books, 5 Novice, 3 Adept, and 1 Expert. This grants you a total of 3,000 SP. Is that a lot? Not really, but it can let you grab Cancer on like 3 units early game, which is pretty damn nice. SP has been noticeably slow for a lot of people. You get 1 SP per experience point with a bond ring, and 2 SP per experience point with an emblem ring. This means you get 200 SP per level max, so this is 15 levels worth of SP in book form. That's half the damn game. And still only enough for 1 or 2 skills. These books are only obtainable during the post-game Tempest Trials normally. There is literally no other good way to grind SP, especially when your experience gains start to fall off when a character gets overleveled trying to save up for 1 copy of Wrath. The lack of SP in this game makes it really restrictive to try out new builds. It keeps you from being able to play around with the game's systems, or make your favorite terrible units good with a few specially selected abilities. No Fire Emblem game has ever made it this hard to create builds you want, and I definitely think it happened just to make the DLC more worthwhile. I've been talking a lot about Wave 2 DLC in this video, but Wave 1 also had some issues with the silver card giving you a 30% cost reduction for all shops. Being able to afford as many second seals as you want without breaking the bank is really great for trying out new classes on different characters, and the silver card helps you do that. It sucks that these things feel so necessary to be able to experiment with the game's systems. And the free stat booster in Wave 1, as well as things like the Draco Shield you can grab from Hector's level, matter way more in this game than they did in Three Houses, a game where stat boosters were plentiful. Especially the boots, which you only get 1 pair of normally, but you can get an extra pair if you pay for the DLC, which also shows up way earlier when someone like Louise or Claire can really use it. I also want to briefly touch on the emblems you get access to with the DLC. Tiki feels really important for being able to build certain characters. Slapping her on most units means they'll cap important stats way earlier and be significantly stronger. The rest of the DLC feels like it outclasses the original emblems. Camilla is Corrin plus Flying Sigurd, Soren gets bolting access for long-range attacks every turn that Lyn could only dream of, and a multi-hit AoE for some reason. Hector gets defense buffs that make Ike practically irrelevant, and Edelgard got to be in the game. I exaggerated a lot of those and plan to make a DLC emblem guide like my first guide soon, which will go into more depth about the strengths and weaknesses of these emblems compared to the older ones, but these new ones are definitely really strong and feel like they do power creep a lot of the old ones without a ton of drawbacks. The problem here is the design philosophy behind these emblems. When we got new characters and classes in Three Houses, it felt like it filled in empty spaces in the class structure, giving us things like flying magic users that were notably absent before. However, when it comes to this game, it feels like we're just getting stronger upgrades to old stuff, which I don't like quite as much. I'd rather these emblems have felt more like side grades than straight upgrades, which is my biggest problem with them. I feel this is a less important issue than the pay-to-win stuff, since you can still easily beat the game with just the starting emblems and do cool fun builds without these new ones. This is just a personal preference thing for DLC design. I should note we are likely getting new classes with Wave 4. As you can see, a really cool new enemy type never seen before in Soren's level, which appears to be an offensive combat art unit that can also access the convoy. So hopefully this class will fill in some spaces in the class structure, rather than just being a straight upgrade to the previous Punch Punch classes, which would be really disappointing. Overall, I think this DLC shows some really worrying trends for Fire Emblem DLC. The in-game economy got much tighter and more restrictive than Three Houses, and it's been a lot of people's primary complaint with this game. Giving us access to DLC that fixes that sucks, and I'd rather have had a free update that makes the economy less grindy. I'd also like to point out that you can't turn this DLC off. It's all automatically deposited into your inventory, so it hurts challenge runs too, as there's no option to straight up play the vanilla game once you buy the DLC. Basically, it feels like this DLC was kind of poorly executed compared to how it's worked in older games. I'd really like to see the game become a little less grindy, and it seems unlikely that will happen. And while I'm complaining, why do they keep picking the most boring maps in the series for these DLC missions? But oh well, not much anyone can do about it. For now, I'll just leave the issues the way I always do, by asking you to subscribe. Ha 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 ha! Why is everyone leaving? Okay, bye!